personal emails, mobile phones, everything that required internet access stopped working in Estonia. So that is the power of a DDoS attack. Even till today, the Russian intelligence or the military does not admit that they executed the attack, but a lot of people know that it was them. So cyber terrorism warfare has become the new type of warfare that can happen between different countries. So if it has happened in Estonia, there is no reason why it cannot happen anywhere else. Now, I like to actually talk a little bit about another very popular hacking network or a network of hackers that have made use of the DDoS attack software. So there is a software called LOIC. It's called, the full form of LOIC is Low Orbit Ion Cannon. Low Orbit Ion Cannon. It is an open source network stress tool. So technically it is originally designed to test the network connectivity and bandwidth. But it can also be used for a DDoS attack. It tries to bring down a server by flooding the victim with infinite number of TCP packets or infinite number of UDP packets. If a lot of people run and the LOIC software simultaneously, then it becomes a DDoS attack. For example, the anonymous hacker group, which is what I was referring to earlier, is a very popular hacker group that operates across the world. So the anonymous hacker group, I'm sure all of you have heard about it before as well. The way they operated was very simple. Every day on their blog, their website, online forum and the chat channel, they will announce the victim of the day. So let's assume that today the victim is indiatimes.com or the victim is ankitfadia.com. So they will publish the victim on the chat channel, the online forum, the blog, the email list, all other forms of communication. And the anonymous hacker group has millions of supporters globally. Millions of supporters globally. So imagine millions of people globally, they download the LOIC software, which the anonymous hacker group publishes on their website. So it's available as a free download, anybody can download it. And millions of people around the world, they use the LOIC software on their computer to target the victim of the day. So imagine a DOS attack is one attacker executing an attack against one victim. A DDoS attack generally is maybe a few hundred or a few thousand people executing a DOS attack simultaneously against the same victim. Now imagine the scale of this anonymous hacker group attack, where millions of people every single day, to show their support to the anonymous hacker group, they would actually download this free software called LOIC tool, and they would go to the anonymous hacker group website, chat channel or forum, find out the victim of the day, and they would execute a DOS attack against them. So let me now give a demonstration to all of you of the LOIC DDoS attack tool. I have a copy of it on my computer. So let me open it up on my computer and give a demonstration to all of you. It will take a minute for it to open up. So this is what the LOIC software looks like. The way it kind of works is actually extremely simple. In this URL field, you type in the victim's URL. So it could be ankitfadia.in or ankitfadia.com. Then click on this lock on button. So what it will do is it will convert that URL into his respective IP address, right? So I have typed ankitfadia.in and it has automatically converted that into his respective IP address. Then you got to select the port number, type in a timeout period, If there is a subsite, you can enter the subsite as well. Then select the type of method. So it could be TCP method of attack, UDP method, HTTP method, and so on. And then you can select the speed at which you want to execute the attack. And then click on I'm charging my laser. Right? I'm charging my laser, whatever. So click on that button and it will start flooding the victim's computer with infinite number of requests. So I don't want to actually execute an attack against my own website. So let me go ahead and stop the attack. So that's a simple example of a DOS attack. Now, if I just run this software on my computer and attack my website is not going to crash. But if a million people, if like thousands of people across the world simultaneously try to run the same software against the same victim, then it can be extremely, extremely dangerous. So that is why a DDoS attack is much more dangerous than a typical DOS attack. Typical DOS attacks, nowadays you have very good solutions available and they don't really affect the victim in such a big way anymore. So coming back to the anonymous hacker group example. So the anonymous hacker group announced a victim of the day. They uploaded this LOIC software on their website so everybody could download it. They also created web versions of this LOIC software. So say for example, if all of you look at the screen, this website is no longer valid or it doesn't work anymore because the anonymous hacker group keeps changing the websites that they used for such tools. So they actually set up this online version of LOIC which was hosted on this website called cisco.fr, where anybody could actually open their browser, connect to this website cisco.fr, fill up this form, so type in the victim URL, type in the request per second and so on, and click on this button, and it will execute the attack from that server. So the advantage here is that the volunteers or the supporters of the anonymous hacker group, they could actually use a JavaScript version, a web version which I have shown you on the screen, to attack their victim of the day. The advantage being that if a supporter uses the JavaScript version, then their own IP address remains protected. Because if I download LOIC and run it on my computer, the LOIC software, it will basically reveal your IP address to the victim. So your IP address is not protected in this example. However, if you use a web-based version like this, then your IP address remains hidden, and it basically encourages more and more supporters to show their support by using this particular software. Similarly, you have other DOS attack tools available. For example, there's a software called DOS HTTP, which kind of works in a similar fashion. You download it to your computer, you type in the target URL, click on Start Flood, and it starts executing a DOS attack against the victim machine. Similarly, there's this PHP script that you can download. It's called PHP DOS Attacker. PHP DOS Attacker that you can download. And you can host this PHP script on your websites and invite other hackers to use your website to execute the DOS attack. Or you can run it on your own and use your machine to execute the DOS attack. Now, in today's lecture, we started by discussing a very old type of DOS attack called ping of death. And then we talked about a little bit more sophisticated DOS attacks. Then we talked about even more sophisticated DOS attacks like what the anonymous hacker group does. And let me now kind of talk about the most sophisticated type of DOS attack, which is something known as botnet or zombie. So imagine that, as part of this AFCH course, every student is getting books, right? Now imagine that I also gave you a CD containing some hacking software. Now this course has been taken by around say 25,000 people across India. Now every student, imagine I gave a CD to them. So I gave 25,000 CDs to 25,000 different people. Now each one of them, they go back home after the course and they put the CD into their computer. Now, what they don't realize is that the CD is infected, and I've installed something on it. So when they go back and they run the CD on their computer gets infected with some kind of zombie. And once their computer has been infected with the zombie, what will happen is, remotely I can control their computer whenever I want. So let me repeat, 25,000 people have attended this course, and I gave a CD to each and every one of those 25,000 people. Now imagine next year, on say Republic Day, I want to actually execute a DOS attack against a particular, some website. So on Republic Day, I will actually send a command from my computer to all those 25,000 students who attended the course, got the CD and ran the CD on their computer. So I'll send a command to all those 25,000 computers. So all those 25,000 computers become zombies because they are now under my control. And I'll use all those 25,000 computers to start sending infinite amounts of data to the victim computer or the victim website. So now you have 25,000 different attackers attacking the same one victim simultaneously. Now that is a very extremely sophisticated version of a DDoS attack. And what I just described to you is something known as a botnet or a zombie network. So what exactly is a botnet? What exactly is a bot? What exactly is a zombie? A bot is an application or a script that can run specific tasks or commands automatically. For example, to execute DOS attacks against the victims, you can use a bot. A system that is infected with a bot and is being controlled remotely by an attacker is known as a zombie. Bots or zombies are controlled from the central command and control server called CNC servers, that is the attacker's computer. So the attacker's computer will control all these zombies across the world. A botnet is a network of computers on the internet that are infected with some Trojan, malware or bot or whatever, which are all being misused for malicious purposes. Zombies are recruited into the botnet network through malicious infection, which could happen through malware download, clicking on a malicious link, P2P networks, or the CDs that I would give out to my students. Zombies, once infected, can be controlled remotely by the CNC, that is the command and control server, that is the attacker, using hidden commands or hidden channels like IRC, Twitter, IM, or HTTP. Such botnets can be misused to execute DOS attacks, spam, click frauds, and many other malicious purposes. And a very popular botnet is called Shark. You can download the source code of Shark from the internet, and it allows you to execute a botnet kind of attack. So we have seen some of the most sophisticated types of DDoS attacks now. Let me talk a little bit about what you'll see in the future. So what you're seeing on the screen is something known as a plug bot. A plug bot is essentially a plug which you can see on the screen, and if you look at the bottom of the plug, there are two ports on it. There's a USB port and there's an Ethernet port, and this plug has an operating system as well. It's a Linux based plug. So the plug, you can obviously plug into a socket in the wall. It draws power from the wall, and it has its own operating system and can be connected to the internet using the Ethernet port or using a USB. Or there are plugs available that come with Wi-Fi built in, which can even connect to the Wi-Fi network that may exist in that particular area. Nowadays in India you have these, say Tata Docomo has this plug where you just plug in and it will create a Wi-Fi hotspot for you. So it's kind of like that, except that it's more sophisticated. It comes with its own operating system. Since it has an own operating system, it means that you could also install your own software on it, and the software could be some hacking software as well. So imagine that you're my neighbor and I want to execute a DOS attack against your Wi-Fi network. So what do? So I'll come to your house, I'll create some excuse, maybe I'll come with some gift and pretend that it's a Diwali gift or a birthday gift or a New Year's gift, and I'll kind of self-invite myself into your house, and when you're not looking, I'll plug this plug bot in one of the sockets in your house, maybe behind some desk or maybe behind some table, so you can't see it that easily. So I plugged it in, then I'll leave your house. So what that plug will do is, it will scan for Wi-Fi networks, and it can be programmed to attack a particular Wi-Fi network. So when it finds the SSID it finds a network of a particular SSID, this plug bot will start attacking that Wi-Fi router. So later on in this course, we'll discuss how to execute a DOS attack against a Wi-Fi network. The Wi-Fi hacking is something that I'm going to discuss right at the end. But the point is that a plug bot can actually search for a network of a particular SSID, and it can actually start executing a DOS attack against that Wi-Fi network. So I have left this plug in your house. I have left your house and come back to my house. And in your house, this plug is attacking your Wi-Fi router. So your internet connection stops working because using your Wi-Fi router, you had internet access. So you're wondering as to what is going on. You lodge a complaint, get the technical guy from your ISP to come home. Even he has no idea what is going on. So that's the future of a DOS attack, where you could execute a DOS attack using a plug bot. Another example is something known as Guru plug. Guru plug. Guru plug is a type of plug which allows normal computing in a small space. Essentially, you get a small kind of plug. It's just like plug bot, but it's called Guru plug. It comes with multiple Ethernet ports, multiple USB ports, and it is much more powerful. So what are the solutions available that you can execute against DOS attacks and DDoS attacks? Because we have seen a wide variety of different types of DOS attacks. We have seen a live demonstration as well, and we've seen how you can use Metasploit to execute DOS attacks as well. Now, first of all, it is very important to separate or compartmentalize critical services that you're offering from your server. You should always buy more bandwidth than what is normally required, so that in case of a sudden attack, you have this cushion of that extra room that will protect you. You got to filter out useless or malicious traffic as early as possible. So you need to use firewalls or router filtering or access control lists, or you got to work with your ISP to filter out traffic as early as possible. In case of if an attack does take place, you should disable non-critical services and try to keep at least critical services running. Disable publicly accessible services, balance the traffic load on a set of servers, and so on. Now there are tools available as well that allow you to counter DDoS attacks or distributed denial of service attacks. One such tool which I like to recommend to all of you is a tool called NetFlow Analyzer Bandwidth and Traffic Management Tool. NetFlow Analyzer Bandwidth and Traffic Management Tool. It basically what it does is it will analyze all the traffic that you are receiving on your network, and it will look for patterns of a particular type of attack that is taking place, right? So NetFlow Analyzer will analyze all the traffic that you're receiving, look for patterns of a DOS attack or a DDoS attack that may be taking place, and as soon as it finds a pattern, it will block that IP address or execute some kind of solution. The solution could essentially be blocking IP addresses, but sometimes the criminals will keep changing the IP address as well. So again, this software is able to detect that, and it will keep changing the IP addresses that it is blocking. Similarly, there's another software called Clear DDoS. It allows you to get protection against DDoS attacks. Most of these tools are paid. They are not free tools, because DDoS attacks is a main big problem for various companies and websites around the world. Then you have another software called DGuard. DGuard, like it says, it gives you protection against SYN flooding, TCP flooding, UDP flooding, ARP spoofing, HTTP proxy flooding, and so on. It stops over 2,000 different types of hacker activities or DOS attack activities. So with that, we kind of come to the end of DOS attacks and DDoS attacks. So we still have around 25 minutes left in this lecture. So I'm going to actually fit in a small topic that is very interesting, and it's a topic called data hiding. Now before I start data hiding, I like to quickly kind of recap the whole topic of DOS attacks and DDoS attacks. So we today started off by discussing what exactly is a DOS attack. We discussed the types of different DOS attacks that are popular on the internet. Everything from ping flooding, ping of death, to SYN flooding, to Smurf attacks, teardrop attacks. Then we actually saw a live demonstration of how to use a packet generation software to execute a DOS attack. Then we saw a live demonstration of how to use Metasploit to execute a SYN flooding attack, and how to use Metasploit to execute application-specific DOS attacks. And then we moved on to DDoS attacks, where we discussed what exactly is a distributed denial of service attack or a DDoS attack, and how to actually execute it. We saw